This is going to sound like a silly question, but how many of you out there watched Starfleet Academy? I know very few hands just popped up, but still, the question needs to be asked, because the reason for this video, well, the inspiration came from one specific character.
And why do you not yearn for the honor of a valiant death in battle like the rest of our kind cadet Kraag?
Because I yearn for a valiant life.
That's right. This video has been inspired by this Klingon right here. And not because this Klingon here, Kraag, was a noble warrior. No, because the showrunners didn't have enough intelligence to look at the history of the franchise that they are including this character in, because this man, or Klingon, as of right now, if I understand the mythology of Klingons correctly, is about to send his family, or at least certain members of his family, off to Klingon hell.
What?
That's right, my friends. Maybe by accident or maybe by design, this Klingon may have sent his mother and maybe his father to the Barge of the Dead, which will be on its way to Klingon hell. But why would this happen? In Star Trek Voyagers, Season 6, Episode 3, Barge of the Dead, Velana has to face some serious issues regarding her faith, her choices in life, and how all of that may have resulted in her mother being sent to the Barge of the Dead on her way to Klingon hell. It is a very interesting episode, and it takes a close look at Klingon mythology regarding their version of hell and, I guess, the river Styx.
The sins of the child. She's being punished for my dishonor. I turned my back on everything Klingon, and now she has to pay the price.
It was you who brought this damnation upon me.
If you hadn't tried to force me to become a warrior...
I tried to guide you in the ways of a Klingon.
So according to Klingon mythology, the sins of the child will be visited on the parents, because the child has turned their back on everything the Klingon culture believes in, because the parents either didn't teach it or did not do a good job in teaching their child to become a Klingon warrior. But now, if that's true, what does that say about our Klingon in Starfleet Academy? When asked, don't you yearn for the ways of the warrior to die in battle? And his response is, I yearn for a valiant life. That is a rejection of Klingon beliefs, is it not? He has rejected Klingon culture. So the question still needs to be asked, will his family be sent to the Barge of the Dead and sent on their way to Klingon hell? But now we have to talk about another touchy subject regarding the sins of the child. Alexander Rozhenko. So if we are to follow Klingon mythology and the sins of the child, doesn't that mean that because Kalar did not teach Alexander the ways of the warrior, she rejected her culture, her faith? She thought it was a bloody, brutal society. Does that mean that because Alexander, for the longest time, rejected Klingon culture, does that mean that Kalar wound up on the Barge of the Dead and in Klingon hell? Because remember now, she died at the hands of Duras when Alexander was maybe 4 years old. So by then, he had an idea of what it was like to be Klingon.
A warrior does not ask so many questions.
I don't want to be a warrior.
He knows nothing of our ways.
Our ways? You mean Klingon ways, don't you?
He is Klingon.
He is also my son, and I am half human. He will find his own ways.
Kalar's death was tragic, and it's a darn shame, because I would like to have seen more of the character. But it's still, the question needs to be asked. Because she died when he was 4 and didn't teach him the ways of the warrior, does that mean that Kalar is on the boat of the Barge of the Dead and on her way to hell? But now let's talk about Worf for a moment and what he did to his family. The House of Moog was taken down because of Worf's refusal to support Gowron in his war against the Cardassians, because it was a dishonorable thing that Gowron and the Klingons were doing. But nevertheless, Worf's act forced Gowron to steal or take everything that the House of Moog had. 4 months after that happened, Kurn shows up on Deep Space Nine, wanting Worf to perform the Maktabor ritual and end his life. The only way to get his honor back is for the one who committed the sin, the brother, to kill Kurn. Right now, Kurn believes that he is going to live a dishonored life if Worf doesn't do this, and eventually he will wind up on the Barge of the Dead.
He was a warrior doing his duty, defending the Empire, and I killed him. My dishonor was complete. Why is it that suicide is considered a dishonorable death, Worf? Shouldn't a warrior have the right to decide when his time has come?
If you die by your own hand, you will not travel across the river of blood and enter Stovo Kor.
Even if I got cast down into the underworld, at least I'd be with other Klingons.
Valana's boat ride on the Barge of the Dead proves that there is an afterlife. So the question now needs to be asked, after everything that has happened to Kurn because of Worf, what does that say about Worf when he dies, even though he has lived a warrior's life? Because he has dishonored his family and what he did to his brother at the end of Kurn's life. Think about it. Kurn is ready to kill himself. Worf sedates him, has Dr. Bashir erase his memory, and when he wakes up, he is a different Klingon. So when this person dies and eventually goes to the afterlife, who's going to appear at the other end? Is it going to be Kurn, or is it going to be this other character that has been created? And if it is Kurn, because of what Worf has done, doesn't that mean he is going to the underworld? Now, I know some of you out there are going to get on my case about attacking Worf, but let's just be clear about this. We are talking about the religious beliefs of the Klingons. And regardless of this character, whether he's a famous character in the Star Trek universe, it still doesn't change the fact of how his actions may affect other Klingons and their religious beliefs. And according to Star Trek Voyager, there is an afterlife, so Worf's actions have serious consequences. Anyway, I would love to hear your thoughts and comments, so please drop them below and let me know. Until the next time, my friends, God bless.